We switch our conversation now to rallying and motorsport in this country. Motorsport is actually, there are people who will tell you the development of motorsport in the country over very many years. Now we are back to the WRC Safari Rally. And also, of course, that gives us that whole global publicity and visibility on motorsport. But there are other events that take place in the country throughout the year. And we're now joined by the chair of the WRC Safari Rally Organizing Committee, Carl Flash Tundo. Anybody who has followed motorsport and rallying in this country must have heard that name. If not Carl, then Tundo. If not Carl Tundo, then Flash Tundo. If not Carl Flash Tundo, he's here in person. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you.
Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. That's a hot seat of the Situation Room.
I'm feeling a bit nervous sitting in the hot seat.
Really?
No, not at all.
We have roll cages. Don't worry. I mean, it's all made for
out
your
of my
safety.
comfort zone, but let's give it a go.
Complete safety, all right? Just tighten your seatbelt. It's a bucket seat. It's not a bucket seat, so just make sure you don't roll.
All right.
Here you roll, you find yourself out.
Thank you.
Of the vehicle. Motorsport in this country, Carl.
Yeah.
Over many years, I mean, if we look at basically Kenya is a revered destination for motorsport. WRC is back in the country, but even beyond the WRC and the visibility that it gives us, there are very many other activities that take place in terms of motorsport and development. Because you've been in this for very many years, just paint a picture for those who are completely uninitiated how big motorsport is.
So I think Kenyans are all petrol heads at heart, and to be honest, and I think it stems from our heritage of having the Safari Rally here 70 years. It's built in our culture. If anyone, possibly anyone over the age of 20, do remember the days of the Safari Rally going around the country, Easter literally stopping due to that fact. We lost this, the WRC part of the Safari Rally sort of 20 years ago, and it's back, and it's been here for 3 years now, and it's growing. This year is a special year because it's our 70th anniversary. But then on the sidelines now to potentially tap into the younger generation, we've got all these exciting motorsports that are stepping into the fold, like the TT guys, the tarmac racers, the bike racers, we've got the drifters. We've even got, last year had drifters. We've got a Red Bull athlete, which is never, motorsport athlete, which is again something that is new to us here. You've got the 4x4 guys that is a form of motorsport. You've got so many different motorsports, and there's obviously my passion, this Rallycross that's come in, and I think that is more sort of conducive to the youth because it combines an atmosphere where you can also party, which again Kenyans love doing. So I just think it's exciting to having all these new sort of disciplines come into the fold.
Do you think the new disciplines is what now brought, or rather, what bug has bitten? I think of other sports in the country that then woke up after some time. The Kenya Premier League, people started getting an interest in watching local football, and then it, blew up. Happened with rugby. Yeah. What happened that has now seen motorsport come alive again after being,
it's coming alive. I wouldn't say we're there yet. I think definitely social media, radio stations, people are more aware. You've got these programs like on Netflix, The Drive to Survive.
Yep.
That has really sort of catapulted F1 to a different level, and that excites young people. It shows it gets right into the heart of F1 rather than trying to understand why these cars are racing around tracks and what they're doing. It's a similar sort of concept here. We have a group of enthusiasts in this country that are 10 to none, and they just want to drive motorsport to this new level. We've had to obviously adapt. I mean, I'm old school. I like rallying, but I love the fact that we have all these other disciplines. So potentially, I mean, social media as well. Yeah.
But you were young once.
Yeah, I
right?
still feel young.
How did you actually get into motorsport?
I was very privileged. I had a father that was a fanatic in Safari Rally. He did it numerous times.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate enough to be born under him, who promoted my motorsport career. But it was tough. And, you know, motorsport's a difficult one because it's an expensive sport, but you have to prove yourself before you can bring in the sponsorship. So you need that backing behind you somehow. Yeah.
Over the years, though, you've seen many young people who look up to you, and maybe they approach you, maybe they come to you and they start behaving like Carl Flash Tundo. They want to be the future Carl Flash Tundo. What is it that makes young people move from just that petrolhead inside them to actualizing it?
Well, hopefully with sort of these new forms of disciplines and forms in motorsport, it creates a cheaper avenue to get involved and to get noticed, because it's more conducive to sponsorship in regard to exposure. You can get noticed on a small budget because you're circuit racing, and we'll go through I don't know if anyone knows about Rallycross. We'll run through Rallycross later, but the idea is to try and create a cheaper form of motorsport where the youth can get involved. And as I say, I'm passionate about it, and I do try and assist people in direction, but it's very difficult financially.
So then, if we're getting more people involved in it, obviously popularity then catches on when people know more. So maybe it's a good time to go into it now. So then what's it to know? Maybe people won't catch on to it because they're unaware of what it's all about. So, you know, what are these other forms that could be more affordable for younger people to get into that could then increase the popularity of the sport?
So there's always been karting in this country, which is a sort of a stepping stone to, you'd say, tarmac circuit racing and rallying. I suppose a lot of us have done that. There's motorbikes. There's a good enduro sort of discipline, that competition that runs around, where, I mean, the last one I went to see, there were like 70 kids all sort of charging around the country racing each other. And kids, when I'm talking kids, you're talking sort of below 10 years old. So there's those things that sort of enthuse kids to move and take it to the next level. Then there's autocross, which again is a circuit style race time trial. But honestly, I think something that has really driven our motorsport are the tarmac time trials. The guys, these clubs that have set up all over, as well as bikes that have set up all over the country. That is racing cars in a sort of a secure area environment against each other, being timed against each other, and there you I mean, safety is key, but there you can actually come in your own car. So it's not a case of having to develop and buy a specific vehicle for racing. In my opinion, that has driven the sport in this country.
You say it's an expensive sport. Okay. Now, when one looks at rally cars, the thing that gets your attention. Now, I'm going back to my youth. Now, that was a really long time ago, okay? The sound of the engine. The engines roar. There's no purring about it, eh? What is it that is done to a vehicle to get it to be a rally car? That's question number one. There's A, B, and C. Question 1B. When you talk about a rally car, is it standard? You know, when I look at rallies across the world or WRC, or are there categories? And what is it that you need? Let's start with the basics. What do you do to a car to ensure that it's fit for rallying? Just one.
So the main area is the safety. It's the roll cage, it's the seats, it's the equipment you use, it's the helmets that you have to use to get involved, and that's not cheap. You've got fuel tanks also that you have to look at so that they don't explode like normal.
Just pause. So cars usually come with a fuel tank.
So you take that out and you put in a racing fuel tank.
Okay. What is a racing fuel tank?
Good question. I'm not a technician. I drive cars. I don't know how they're built.
Okay. Is it a bigger tank?
No, it's a more secure tank. So I think it's an aluminium frame, and inside it's got foam.
Yes.
That absorbs fuel, so it doesn't move around, and it can't explode. So it's just.
It's a safer tank. It limits
safer,
the possibility of combustion.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was hoping you weren't going into technical.
No, not technical. I don't understand the technical stuff myself. But then there is now car in motion. There are tires. There's the There's all these things that are involved in the motion of a car.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing that you had when you bought the car. What do you add?
So we had suspension. We had the safety element. And other than that, there's a group, it's called Group N, which is standard production car. So all you modify, or all you're allowed to modify, is the safety aspect and the suspension.
That's it.
And a bit of tuning.
Okay, that's Group N.
So that's Group N. That is what I most my rallying career we went through. It was brilliant in the fact that because we were in production cars, they were all on a similar level. So it was more of a driver competition.
No. It wasn't a cars.
It wasn't a machine competition.
It wasn't like you look at Formula One. They're a lot of
the engineering.
I'm going to get roasted if I say this, but the majority of it has to do with the vehicle that they're driving. So the Group N it ran for about 20 years. It still runs, but it's not the top of our championship. That is the ideal, in my opinion, sort of simplistic way of racing.
Okay. So now when you get to WRC, okay, the IIIE comment. I get the impression this Group N car, we're talking expensive. What sort of amount would one have to put in a car to make it Group N compliant?
Group N, let's look at an affordable sort of, call it a Mitsubishi, that is a Group N car. So you buy them, I would say for around, let's call it $50,000, you can have a race car.
$50,000.
Now you go to, call it 5M.
Okay.
To get a decent competitive race car.
That's 5M.
Yeah. 5M.
Now let's go to WRC.
I would hate to imagine the cost of those things, but I'm talking in the region of, with their hybrid units, you're talking $800,000 to $1 million.
One car.
One car.
So, that's a lot of money.
And that's why it's an entire enterprise.
Sure.
Yeah, it's
behind the driver.
Yeah.
Yes, but beyond the driver, there's a support team.
Yeah.
the support
The
team,
enterprise.
everything else that goes into the WRC is huge. You remember the old days where they used to bring in an extra car for our local drivers to compete in? We need to try and get back to that.
They did, yes.
They used to. That's why we know the Shekametas, we know the Jaginder Singhs, because it was the manufacturers that came in with their drivers from Europe, their professional drivers, and they would have one car, a third car that was for a local driver because of our conditions and because of the knowledge that they had in this country of racing.
Our guy would be like the guide.
He's the guy, but he used to, on occasion win.
Ended up with Shekameta winning.
Not on occasion, often.
He won fairly often.
Patrick Njiru, Ian Duncan.
Ian Duncan won the last Safari Rally race.
Yeah, so you have the capacity. This day and age, it's a bit different because obviously, well, I actually don't know why it's different, but these hybrid cars are so technical, and the thought of bringing an amateur driver, let's call us local drivers amateur drivers, into a professional outfit, it's like taking someone and putting them in a Formula One car. So
Sure.
I'm not saying I couldn't drive it though.
Yeah. I mean, I know we're going to talk about the events. We're going to talk about the events, some of the events coming up and things like that. But
The Rallycross particularly, yeah.
Looking at it as a sport, and just look at everything that goes on. And a simple question that could be layered is, what does motocross do for sport in Kenya?
Rallying. Or
motorsports? Motorsports. What does it do for the general sports umbrella in the country? And what would it then contribute to its coming alive, as you say, it's still being in the process?
It's in the process. So
what does it contribute to?
I think having the WRC here is just unimaginable with how much exposure we as a country get out there. It's been here 3 years, and it is the most watched WRC event on the calendar around the globe. I don't know what the figures are, but it's near on sort of 900 million people watched this event. And for me, that as a sort of to create a motorsport tourist destination, WRC is having that circus come and sort of perform here. We may not feel the benefits, but I think globally we are on the map. It's like having superstars like Kipchoge running around the world, all our athletes. It's a similar sort of concept, but it's an event. So on the back of that, we need to now try and, with that exposure, grow motorsport generically lower down the chain, the food chain, to get to the point where everyone in this country wants to compete in the WRC or in our local motorsport. And that means stepping back, seeing how we can develop, how we can train, how we can get kids involved to a level where they can compete.
And how can we? Just those things. How can
it takes time. It's a simple case, and it's something we're trying to work on. I mean, I've only been in this position in the last sort of 3 months. We are concentrating on the event because we only have 2 months to go to get it right. But I'm hoping in the future we can grow programs like the French have. We have a program called the Young Star program, but it exposes our kids to races around the world. But I feel we need to take even a step back. I mean, to a situation where we are allowing kids to, and these are sort of grassroots kids, to come and experience those the smaller vehicles and build up to the idea that we can promote them into a bigger, higher field. I mean, that's basically how we'll grow this.
Right.
So it's talent developing across from a village level. Just take an enthusiast from a village level going to a local primary school who seems really to have some keen interest in rallying. Let them try.
Let's try and get to the point. Yeah.
But that would involve a lot, right?
It's huge. It's a long-term strategy. I'm not naive that it'll take time, but it can be done. A simple case of putting kids and now this is with rallying. It's a case of you have to have a driving license and you have to be of 18 to start that.
Sure.
But there's so many disciplines that you can start off below it: the kartings, the buggies, I'll explain in Rallycross what we're trying to do as well with that. But at least it gives a kid the passion to try and sort of push this through. And if we can set up sort of competitions where the carrot at the end of it is a little better, a little move further forward and develop. That's exactly how champions like Sebastian Loeb around the world, and the French have a really good program, the Ogiers, that's how they were noticed and taken through motorsport.
And they end up coming here and winning the rally.
Yeah.
But Carl, Carl Flash Tundo, do you have any state award recognition? Like OGW?
No.
Huh?
No.
Ban.
Wait a minute. Nothing.
We're okay with that.
No, we are not.
No, we are not okay,
with that.
No, we are definitely not okay with it.
People who have definitely basically helped to develop and sustain a discipline in sport for as long as you have, you and others in the industry. did need recognition.
You know,
It's not for you to say.
No, it's for us to say, because we get alarmed when we hear the list. Okay, when we read of the list that has been created, and some of the people wondering, first of all, who is this person? and why are they being given this commendation?
They've got the golden heart.
Yeah, and you're thinking, but anyway, there it is.
So we'll call you from this day on Carl Tundo OGW.
Yes.
Okay.
The OG.
The OG. Tell us about Rallycross.
So Rallycross is a relatively new format of motorsport. It combines rally cars and circuit racing. So it's partly dirt and partly tarmac. I call it sort of F1 on steroids, because there's contact occasionally. It's cars on a track racing round side by side. The ultimate aim is to get the win at the end of the weekend. So we've added our main focus is trying to be inclusive with everyone. So we have a team event, which is how we run the weekend, where we have a lady, we have a junior, we have I'm not going to say veteran, let's say legend, and we have a champion.
In the same team?
In the same team. And everyone
What's
races.
the difference between a legend and a champion?
Legend is above 50.
Okay.
Earning stripes.
I'm almost there.
You're heading there.
I'm heading there. Yeah.
So champion, legend, one woman, one youthful person.
One junior.
Junior.
Yeah. And they all race against each other to score points for the team. So it's a team event. So at the end of it, the team wins. It's not an individual. You get prizes for the fastest laps or the best junior, but the ultimate aim is for the overall team event. We felt that was quite a good way of the team camaraderie. Motorsport's not often about team, apart from you and your navigator. So we're trying to create that idea this year. So we've done 2 events last year, and they were really successful and exciting. And it's always been at Machakos, near Machakos People's Park, because they have a bit of infrastructure there that we can use. There's a Joker lap, which creates an added element where it's a longer leg of a lap which you have to take once, so that sort of adds excitement to it. It's just actually and a bit of strategy. And this year we're going to try and add in what we call the RX Cubs, which is kids under the age of 13 racing against each other. The first one, this first event that we have, we're going to do it like a more of an exhibition style, just to show that kids can get involved and race them side by side around the track. But ultimately, and then on the back of that, because it's a 2-day event, you've got sort of an entertainment village where you've got vendors, food, drinks. You can watch the screens, the action while we live stream it, so that families can come and enjoy themselves. We'll have DJs, music. So it's kind of trying to be, bring everyone to the table. So, for example, if I'm a father who's a petrol head and wants to go and see this, there's also the excuse to bring your family, because there's bouncy castles and
then also
like
for
that.
younger children, because obviously there's the appeal for younger kids to get involved in all of this. So for somebody who may be, totally new to this, would be in, kids love cars kind of thing.
Yeah.
So here's an opportunity for you to come and enjoy this and maybe learn something
And want to get involved. Exactly. Pressure their fathers into getting them into it. Yeah.
Behind it. Explain to me how this works, because you said vehicles are actually running side by side. There's a bit of contact and collision and all those things happening. So it's not like what we see at the Safari Rally in Kasarani, the spectator stage in Kasarani. It's not like that, because those are running 2 cars running each on its track.
Correct.
These ones are all in the same.
They're set up on the grid like Formula One,
where
the flag goes down, and then the
Into the first corner.
Into the first corner, exactly. That's usually the most dangerous corner.
Yes.
Is going into the first corner, then coming out of Joker lap. Once you've done your longer lap, where you slot into the field. It is really exciting, and I competed in the first two events, and the adrenaline is on a different level to what I'm used to in normal rallying,
Why?
so to speak. Because you have the added element of trying, being right next door to your competitor. Occasionally looking out the window and he's 2 inches away from
And
the side
anything
of your
could
car.
happen.
And
This person could just become silly.
Yeah.
And
But amazingly enough, everyone is there to protect their car.
yes.
So where you feel that there could be contact, people are quite cautious, competitors are quite cautious, and after all, we are gentlemen and women, gentlemanly. So you try and you know who has the advantage into the corner and when to back off. But there's minor dents and bumps. That's let's call that.
And people are coming with their own cars.
Yeah, they come.
What do they need to do to modify this car to get onto the track?
So what we've tried to do, because things have changed a bit in rallying, but there are loads of motorsports people that have vehicles that I was talking about, the Group N cars that where their homologation ran out so that they could not compete in rallies in these old cars. So what we're trying to say is bring those out. So a lot of people that come now have these old cars that they bring forward. We just to prove that we could get a car to compete in the two-wheel drive, I kid you not, we went out and bought a taxi. We put a cage in it, put some safety, the chairs in it. We put the safety, and that is what we used to compete in the two-wheel drive. It was the taxi that I used around Nairobi. It's an old Sprinter. It's manual. It probably cost half an M to prepare the whole thing with all the safety standards. So we're just trying to. I think that is where we will grow the most once we can show people that actually it doesn't take a large amount of effort to come and compete. So that's quite exciting.
So the perception is that perhaps it is an elite sport, and that you have to have gotten certain rungs up the totem pole to then be able to compete. So this could be destabilizing that thought that it is only for a certain section of society that can compete. But I hear you saying that it's not.
I agree. I really hope that if anything, this Rallycross brings that to the table, that you can compete with. I mean, it is a large budget, so to
Still a
speak.
handsome amount, yes.
But motorsport is expensive. But if we can get to the point where we as a RX motorsport can actually generate enough capital to buy these cars and build these cars slowly up to the point where people can actually come and pay and play, and then now you even get it cheaper for people, so because they don't own the cars, they can come and can enjoy the weekend and compete in someone else's car. That's where we're looking at for the future.
How long is the track?
It's about 1.2 kilometers, so it's not long at all. 800 tarmac and it's 50-50 is tarmac and 50-50 gravel. This year we're putting a big jump in as well, just to add.
And how many laps?
You do on the heats. It's anywhere from 4 to 6 laps.
So what determines the length? Is it a timed race, or is it just as long as you complete your 4 laps? Whoever completes the 4 laps
and comes across the line first wins without any penalties. You can get penalised if you have bad behaviour.
Carl, walk us through this. So everyone has to go around the track, 4, 5 times?
4 to 6 times.
Okay, 4 to 6 times. Why is it not just 6 times? Why is it 4 to 6?
So 4 because there's more people racing in the heats, and then the semis and finals at the end is the 6th lap.
Oh, so the final is where you have the 6 laps. So what are you looking for? Is it the time that someone clocks when they, or is it just completion and
checkered flag?
Okay,
First over the
but
line.
even as you do this, what else are you scoring?
You're not scoring. No, there is a prize for the quickest lap.
Quickest lap, okay.
But that's over the whole weekend. But it's literally a recognition to show who did the quickest lap. But ultimately, it is getting the prize at the end for the team. So me as a champion, say for example, I will go into my heat. If I come third, I get 2 points. The ladies, he's the legend.
She's the lady.
So
I'm
we
the
all
junior.
You're the junior.
This is the
there you
adolescents,
go.
yeah.
Okay.
So we all and you got to keep your car in one piece. So you race throughout the weekend. So the ladies go on to the races. We also have ladies competing in the veteran. Sorry, let's call them legend category. We've got them. We had them competing in the championship. So do you know what I mean? It's a mix of everyone in motorsport.
You know, the idea in my mind is an excellent one. Is it possible to encourage people to use their own cars with the safety? Because the safety element is key to this, from what I gather. Would that possibly get you more people competing?
100%. Yeah, you can use your own cars, but it takes a lot to put that safety cage. The roll cage in there means destroying the insides of your car. So again, you're not, but you can, in theory,
But
like we did, go and buy a standard 1600 Vitz or Sprinter. Ours is manual just because so you can change gear racing. It's more conducive, and convert it into a rallycross car.
But it must have the roll cage.
It needs the roll cage. It definitely does, because of the danger behind the contact and the side by side racing. We don't want to jeopardize, anyone's.
You know why I'm thinking of this is because I'm looking at this. This is an inaugural event. Or have you had it before?
We've had 2 events last year.
Two events last
This is
year.
our inaugural.
But it's all within the environs of Nairobi.
Correct.
Yes. So I'm thinking, what if this event is taken elsewhere outside Nairobi?
That is the idea is to move this as a championship around the country.
Yes.
But the infrastructure, we do not have the infrastructure for a let's call it a minimum 12-meter track, which is half tarmac and half gravel. We've spent so much effort into producing that the track that we have off the back of an area that is going to be developed for future near the People's Park, that we can shut traffic down from there, because obviously tarmac roads are based on where traffic flows. So it's a useful way of developing the sport. I think in the future the idea would be to try and build our own track and develop our own area of motorsport where all disciplines can come and compete on that in that area. So that's.
I wonder then, what is support that comes, because when we talk about then the development of sport in the country, the question about support from relevant governments comes in place. Because we cannot run away from the responsibility again that lays on the shoulders of government when it comes to this. So what kind of support then is available? Because you talk about taking the sport outside of Nairobi, and then you say, well, we want to build. And I'm thinking, well, we have some stadia that were to be built, completed kind of thing. What's the marriage between the desire to have this go outside of Nairobi and then the would-be support that could come in from government?
So the support that we got last year was through the Machakos government. They were extremely helpful, and the ex-governor there, who loved the idea of having motorsport in his county. We're getting support from the new governoress. She's really sort of assisting us to continue this. But on the back of that, the new government now, with their mandate of bottoms up sort of idea, and working with the new CS of Sport, Honourable Babu, and the PS, they are really keen to drive motorsport here. And to begin with, it will be based on continuing the Safari Rally. But the idea is now with sort of a development fund to try and get to grassroots and try and grow this sport and try and move it. It's a new marriage that we've had, and obviously the government is a new marriage. But I honestly only took this role as the local organising committee chairman after meeting our CS and PS and having the discussions with them based around how motorsport, my passion for the sport, and where I can see us developing the sport to a youthful sort of based more on sort of developing youth and getting more people involved. I honestly, genuinely only chose this role because of meeting those two people.
There's something called a sports fund. I don't know much about it, but the little that I do know, it was set up to assist or come in handy for the very, very thing that you're discussing here. Not just promoting a sport, but ensuring that the sport in question is given legs, and in the case that they have legs, given wings.
Yeah.
And if you say that the CS and the PS support you, so I'm assuming that the support is not, well done, Carl, thank you very much.
Do it again next year.
So for Rallycross, because let's walk before we can run. I would say so. On the Rallycross part, the support has come from Machakos government, just generically due to the fact that we were in there. The ex-governor was so enthusiastic about it. So from that step, now let's change roles. Now I'm on the WRC organising committee. That is where I feel that there is no point in having a WRC Safari Rally on our doorstep and bringing all this glamour. I called it a circus. It is, in the end of the day, a big circus showcase of Kenya and motorsport and the elite athletes. It's having an F1 round on your doorstep. There is no point in having that if we cannot now filter some of that back into the grassroots, and that is my passion. I'm hoping I can, grow this to move my long rallying career to develop motorsport for other people. But I genuinely believe that it is the CS and PS's idea as well, in all forms of all forms of sport as well.
Carl, I grew up in Nakuru.
Excellent.
And there's a place called Langa Langa. Now, most people don't know why it was called Langa Langa. Our equivalent of F1 races existed in Nakuru. Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yes. As a child, I watched the races, so I know they existed. What happened to that track?
It became
farmland.
Not even farmland. Developed. It's Nakuru grew. Let's call it Nakuru grew.
Okay. All right, I will rest that case. I will not talk about it further. I will
Don't say. I want to ask a question.
I think we had 3 or 4 tracks around the country. Yeah.
Yes, we did.
They've all disappeared.
They've all just been swallowed up by
Anyway,
by development.
There was one just across the road here at Embakazi.
There was.
Yes, indeed.
It was before my time. So.
Yeah. For those naysayers who are saying, he promised to bring Formula One into Machakos. Well, it's
a
happening.
dream. It's
happening. It's a dream, and it's actually ongoing. Well done to Alfred Mutua. Now, Carl, corporate sponsorship. How are you able to tap corporate sponsorship into the Rallycross?
It has definitely been tough, but because obviously you've got to prove yourselves and grow an idea and put it into reality. But we've been very privileged, I suppose, to be able to get enough sponsors on board, the likes of Batika, the likes of EABL, the likes of CFAO, the Toyota brands, the Aquamis Menenguys, they can all see the potential. We've had NTB they've, in a small way, they've contributed to growing this sport, and we're not talking large amounts of finance, but I think once we grow the sport, once we get 5,000 people to an event, once we can, then the beauty about that is then we can use some of that to develop, like I was saying. So because I, as a kid, can come and race and be seen throughout the weekend competing.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's now a stepping stone for other people for corporates to say, hey,
latch onto that.
one. I mean, we've proved it. There's a kid called Joseph Gashesha. We put in as a junior in the team, and he was 17 when he started, and I think it's the stepping stone to his sort of motorsport career. He started in karting, moved up. We saw he was, I kid you not, he was at every rally that I've done over the last 10, 15 years.
Wow.
And, growing up the photos. So we brought him on board and put him as a junior in one of the teams. And yeah, I mean, he's already got corporate sort of knocking on his door. Sort of
Very good.
The potential is there.
Very good.
Yeah.
So, when is Rallycross taking place? Where and how can spectators spectate?
So we've got we've got 3 events this year. The first one is on the 6th, 7th of May at the People's Park. The tickets are on Ticket Sasa if you want to go and get on board. So 6th, 7th of May. 6th is the Saturday, starts kind of midday, where we kick off with the heats, and then Saturday night, there's obviously there's a party that will continue throughout for as long as you want. Let's not say throughout the night.
And then Sunday.
And then Sunday we'll have more heats, and then the semi-finals and finals of the event, and then a big prize giving, and then we all go home.
Okay, so there are designated spectator spots.
Yeah, we have
through the track.
Exactly. They're all based, because it's a 1.2 kilometer track. There's plenty of viewing areas. We put in those bleachers and things so that people can get closer and start enjoying.
What are you doing to ensure safety of the spectators?
So safety, we have a very strong safety team there. We make sure that the spectator areas are not in areas that could create sort of accidents. They're far away enough from the track. Then we also have the county government that help us with security as well, in and around the track. So I mean, we've really thought about the safety there on those aspects.
Okay. Thank you very much, Carl, for joining us. So 6th and 7th of May, everybody here, go to the Machakos People's Park. There'll be the Rallycross taking place. It's going to be a wonderful event starting on 6th in the afternoon, party in the evening on Saturday. Sunday, we watch the heats and the semis and the final, and we see the winner, and we all celebrate. Carl Flash Tundo is the chairman of the WRC Safari Rally Organizing Committee. We're calling him from this day on Carl Flash Tundo, OGW. Right.
Well, it's a pleasure and a privilege to meet you guys here. Thank you.
Sana. Come again soon.
All right.
Tell us about the Safari Rally.